It's an honor that all of you are here. But for me, it's a really special honor. But Ochuka can make it here.
We want to really thank everybody that has shown up here today. When Dorphan did tell me he was creating something, so when he told me, it was really a pleasant surprise. One, because I am used to experiencing Dorphan on the stage, and there were days when we started way back when Facebook used to have notes. We used to write the poetry and then tag friends, and people would comment. And then we went to workshops with Siazangu and then the WAPPC those days, So this project is a long time coming because I've always been pressurizing. When are you going to put up something together, Because it's one person I really look up to as a person and as a friend and also as a creative. So I'll just try to comment a few things about, let's say, 9 or 10 things. One is you bringing up artists together. That is something that is really incredible. It reminds me of so many projects like Unakumbuka the Nest, yeah. And also even our as an outfit in terms of the creative outfit, it's also reminiscent of the same thing, So it's something that should happen more, and I'm glad that you are also participating. You are an active participant and a pioneer or a contributor towards the ongoing coming up of artists together, and this is really incredible. The other thing is there's something about from the margin. I doubt this is like the real page, the pulp of the page, because one thing about a story, and this is from my personal experience with life and as I see it and my perspective. When you are not relatable to a story, you may think about it like it's on the other side. I always talk about it when I'm talking about my cancer journey. There was a time when cancer was probably, you wouldn't imagine it would come home until it hits home, and then that is the time it becomes relatable. And what this project does for us is it actually zooms in that picture to us, and it frames it. We as people within our household, within our homes, we have pictures of loved ones. We have pictures of people we revere. Che Guevara or your pops or your mom or your auntie, or your picture of you as a kid when you're growing up, That is very sentimental, but it also shows the aspirations of you as a human being and somebody who is capable of achieving so many things while, battling obstacles in life. So this is just an aspiration for us as artists, but also as human beings, because when we look at these stories from different perspectives, we're able to connect together, and that is what makes us relatable as human beings. I always say your story is no less powerful until it is relatable to you and to him and to them. There is a way a story is mine, and there is a place where it unifies everybody, so that anybody who listens from Latin America or France or in the Oriental world, they would just relate with it because it's music, and then also it unifies the story of human existence. So I think that is really incredible, because these are so many artists, but I don't want to call them artists because I feel like, me as an economist, there's something called margin of error. When you're doing a sample from a population of people, this is a population of people, you come from very different backgrounds, you have all different experiences, but now when I pick an artist, I pick another artist, and they voice their experiences and their struggles and how they pursue their vision and their experiences, it becomes part of what represents the whole, the whole, us as a country, us as a people. And I think that is really incredible. The fact that you brought all these people together, we reduce the margin of error, because when Dorphan is speaking on himself, we're just looking at him as it's Dorphan. But when he brings Kikete and he brings Zolo and he brings the other artists, we are able to expand that space and to expand that experience to include us more. So I feel that was really incredible, and I want to appreciate every artist that has contributed to this project. It's really incredible. Another thing, I like I like the fact that you see each other the way you've grown. You know, people are used to finished products. And we are living in an era where the more prominent, there are two things. One, if an art is extrinsically important and then intrinsically important, an art can be very good. But if it's not so good that a large population of people understand it and actually appreciate it, people tend to trash it. It is happening right now, because if something does not trend, it means it has no value. And that is what From the Margin is trying to tell us, that there are so many voices, so many people whose lives are on the margin, but it doesn't mean that they are less important or they're less valuable to be talked about. And I think if you look at the way Kenya is systematically pushing out voices that they deem is less important. And going back to history, Ponaja, you are a historian. You know how whitewashed our history is. Like sometimes when you go into the deep dive of our true history, you realize that what we've been told all through these years is a complete hogwash. So we need to reevaluate how we understand our history, but more importantly, where do we go from here with the history that we've learned, with the unlearning that we have done? So I think that to be able to be more meaningful with each other, to be able to be more compassionate with each other, we have to understand that the history that we know, as we know it, is completely isolating the real person. Right now, so many people are struggling, but the person who struggles the most is pushed off, because their story doesn't matter, because nobody represents their voice. So until your voice matters, that is when it's a spectacle. It's somewhere trending on TV or on radio, or as a political outfit nationally. You see that. So I appreciate that we are telling these stories, and there's something I always say. These are not just stories, they're not just conversations. And sometimes when you look at them as just a story, it doesn't happen to you. And when it does happen to you, it's like when he was starting to paint, he was probably just doing strokes. And that's also how I paint. I do paint abstract. And as a visual artist, when you're starting from a very blank canvas, it does not mean the story wasn't there before. The story was there, but it was not told. Even if it was told, it wasn't brought to your own vision so that you can actually relate with it and sit with it. And then the other thing, this is about the seventh thing, I liked something about the nativization of art. Kuna point ukifikaga tu, you just, like, kuna koga na joke, like, kama umeshishai kusukuma vibaya sana, and you've never prayed in your own mother tongue, maybe you have never started. You know? So I think it's also the same thing I have done as an artist. Kuna point I'm starting to feel like if I can't do it in Luo, which is like my mother tongue, I don't want to do it, because it reaches a point where I want to talk to my soul. And there's a piece there about home. I resonated with it mostly because at this point in time, I'm listening to such tracks and such pieces more than ever. Because they just don't move my soul, but they also captures the way in which I persist in spirit. And this is something that is universal. This is something that you, regardless of our background, it reaches a point where you feel you want to be nativized. You feel you want to be seen for who you are. And then the other thing is, for most people, like in the bridge between academia and the real world, the bridge between art and real world. There's a lady who talked about how, is it a lady? No. He talked about how for us, it's like we already converted, we already conscious. Actually, most of us already know what is happening within this country. And sometimes that is not enough. It's the same thing that we say about love. Sometimes love is not enough. You need a lot of things to do. And that is, you mentioned that you actually went to focus group discussion. I wish you could have done sample skits, like the guy who talked about Ngojera, so that people can actually relate with it in the way that is happening in real time. That's why maybe if you go to town, ama mtaani, upate watu wanachoma mahindi and they're talking about current politics. So that language is not lost while it is being translated, because music also translates language. When you talk about a piece and you use Kiswahili, by the time it reaches the audience, the different levels of audiences, the translation is lost. So I wish we could have captured that raw transitioning in skits, and that would have been very valuable in terms of how the Mwananchi relates with it. Another way of doing it, you could also, because we have listened to 5 tracks, if you could have like a short documentary, let's say 6 minutes, not more than 6 minutes, that captures the essence of every song, but now it's like a book, because this EP or this project it's like a book or a film. So if you can capture that in a docu-series, like a very short, because nowadays the attention span, it's very small. Somebody wants to watch YouTube 2-3 minutes, I'm a choker. So it has to be really enticing, it has to be really intense, it has to be really conscious, and then another thing, it has to be really kind. Because another thing about this project, it was kind, but it also moves you to this space where you're challenged about your life. And I think I like that about music. It pushes you to a place where you're mirroring yourself. It's not just the artist speaking for their own, but also you're looking at your life and like you talked about him thinking about his own child, and it felt like, if I can be moved by that, there are other people, quite a number, who can be moved by just the same. And the instrumentation, I really like that. The lady in the background, she has my flowers while she's in absence. She did a really incredible job. The producer, of course, that was really incredible. I like your voice. Or we should work on something sometime soon. I've met Matai sometime. I think it was in some gallery in Lavington. It's the first time I ever witnessed you, and I think it's really incredible that I keep on experiencing your art, keep on going, and every artist and every person who's shown up today. Thank you so much, and I appreciate for allowing me to speak. Thank you.